fun fact, this is how the first two Final Fantasy games. No. Oh, you were not assigned. Well, I mean, I'm thinking, but I wouldn't be able to. Well, no, there's an option for it. So that doesn't create. Yeah, no. That was it. Well, go back to that again. So, the, this exact syntax was this syntax is wrong because you are saying. Oh, this is fine. So you probably had a final number. Yeah, but this is outside it. So there's a number assigned a function to the which is let's see, we actually include this function as a property of So what happens if you I'm not sure. Okay. But when you went through it and did yeah, equal function, that's when I oh, okay. It's console log. Right. Not okay. Quite. Right. That's interesting. Yeah. I'm not sure why you would do that. Kind of defeat because that's the purpose that everything is together now. One is outside.
Oh, what's happening to that?
Oh, no. Yeah. So what I do is
I was just saying, where you can have both.
Oh, yeah. Well, I do. Oh, so we're here, right? Yeah. This is well, that's weird. It's not that weird. Dog shouldn't be that weird. That defeats the purpose. But yeah. I didn't cut it down. Oh, you did minus. So your two characters are either opportunity saved like once
Still have a couple of minutes. Are you guys doing okay? Need a few more minutes? Completing, coming to close. Lost? Few more minutes? Lost? Okay.
Did you start? Did you start? Yes. So, look at the previous one. Come on. Oh, okay. What about this activity? Did you start on this? This activity? Okay. It's similar, yeah. Oh. Maybe did that work? C-sharp? Okay. This. Oh yeah, yeah, I know. It's same as that. Okay. Then you get to appreciate how badly it is done in JavaScript.
It's taking a second. I know what you're trying to do.
Well,
Console log. Do that.
yeah, console log is one.
This. So welcome Cairo, your stats right here. Who would you like to fight? Then Paladin.
Okay.
And then I hear you're a mage.
What is it?
Oh, yeah. I just had your character.
Okay.
Mage, I don't know.
Okay.
And then say I want to fight you. You have selected down the mage king. Would you like to fight? Start fire.
Oh, well, that's cool. You're taking away input. Okay.
And then it just goes through
Oh,
fighting.
very cool.
And then I do.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So you incorporate all the activities. I love it. Yeah. All the learnings from previous week, this week, everything combined. I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. 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 And you did it in like 30 minutes? That's even more impressive. All right, so keep working on it. I'm going to start solving this. If you are stuck somewhere, you can take a peek and see. But I'll try to complete this activity and then we'll move on to the next steps. So I'm going to create a character constructor. Start with my file. Let's call it character.js. Okay. Um, create a constructor function. Let's call it character. And then we're going to take in some parameters. Okay. I'm going to use the arguments and I'm going to pass each one of these properties in: name, profession, gender, age, strength, and hit points. So name, profession, gender, age, strength, and hit points. Okay. And then I'm going to create properties for each one of them and assign them. So this dot name is going to get this assigned. This dot profession is going to get this assigned. the arguments that I'm passing in: gender, age, strength, hit points. Okay, so I created the constructor with all my properties. Then I'm going to add a function, but this is how you would create a constructor: pass in some arguments and assign them to these properties. Okay, the next function that we need to create is called print stats. So this dot print stats is equal to a function, no parameters, and it should go ahead and print these things. We'll come back and fix that. Let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead, and what it is going to do is going to print out all these properties. So let's console log using our template retrieval. So I'm going to say name is equal to this dot name. Let's add a new line character. Search and what is it? Oh, just hit enter like this. Awesome. And then age, and then this dot age. Doesn't format it. Okay. And then oops. Gender, age, this dot age, and then strength, this dot strength, hit points, this dot. Okay, so this should go ahead and console log this, and I'll add a and I'll add a dash so that whenever the new character is created, it's kind of separated out with this. Okay, so this is how you create a constructor, and then you can create more characters and print the stats. So let's create a character using the new keyword, and character takes in 3. So this is a number. Let's give it a number. Strength is also a number, so let's give it a strength. And hit points is also a number, so let's give some. And then you can keep creating new characters with the same syntax. Say this was gender, some numbers, strength, with some hit points, some numbers. Okay, so this is how you create objects using the constructor. Just to verify, let's go ahead and call our function print stats. As everything is working, it should print stats for both of these objects. Let's go back and okay, so the stats are coming back here. What if I do this? Will this? Okay. Okay. Nice space as well. So that's good. All right. So this is how you do your the first part of the activity. All right. Create a constructor, pass in all these values, then you can create as many characters as you want. All right. I have age twice. So I skip the profession then, right? This should be is that better now? Okay. All right, so this is how you create a constructor, and you can creating multiple objects more from the convenience point of view. Okay, so you don't have to creating the same properties again and again. All right. The next part was before I move on. Any questions on this? Everybody created the constructor, was able to add the properties, call the functions. Any questions on this? Good. The next ones were, let's see. Then once you are done with this, you will create more functions. Is alive, whether it's checking if the hit points is less than or not. These are all conditioned, but these are again all the functions that you're adding back to your characters over here. So we have print stats, you will add attack, is live, and all of these three functions that are being said. Okay. Again, I'm going to leave these three functions to you guys. All right. Again, if you are not able to complete these, I would highly recommend first complete this. The next one is a little bit more bonus, and this has nothing to do with the constructors, more logic. For example, level up, so you are just using plus equal to and add 25 points to your hit points. Okay, I think attack is more complicated one of them. Was anybody kind of stuck on this one? I see one hand. Okay, did you guys resolve it? Okay, so let's see if we can solve this one. So what were you guys doing for this one? So you are passing in a character and then okay, so this function says this dot attack, right? And then you create a function, and then you have to pass in a character. Let's say character 2. Okay, what is this character? This is any object that you create using this constructor. Okay, that's what it says, that you need to pass in another character, and then what do you have to do? You have to reduce the hit points of the character by the strength. Okay, let me write this out. So now I have two characters. So if I do Iron Man, okay, and then call the function dot attack, what is the argument that I need to pass in? Another character, another object. So it has to be this one because this is the only object that I have. This is what the attack function is saying. So what happens? Iron Man is attacking Black Widow. So what happens over here is you are passing this character. This is this object over here. So the hit points of this character is going to go down by strength. And what is this dot strength referring to? It is referring to this object over here, the strength of this object. Again, why? Because when you are using this as the source object, all these properties, all the strength, age, name, and all of these properties, these are being attached to this object over here. Okay, so when you call this dot strength, this is referring to the one that you are attaching your function to. Okay, so this object is working with this object, and then what is happening is now if you go ahead and print out the stats for your second object, this should actually go down if the function is working. Kind of help, or maybe more confusing? Okay, so the this keyword is always referring to the object, the source object, this one. Okay, why? Because this is the one when you create this object, and the attack function belongs to this object. Why? Because you're calling the attack function which is attached to this. If I switch this and I did Black Widow dot attack, not import, wow. Okay, now the this inside the constructor is referring to this object. Again, why? Because remember this function is attaching itself to this object. So inside your constructor, anything that is referring to this is actually referring to the source object over here. Okay? The second character becomes Iron Man. So what it is saying is the property for Iron Man hit points goes down by the strength of this object. Okay? A bit confusing, but any questions to make it more clear? What is it? I didn't understand. What? Yes. So Iron Man is attacking Black Widow. Is that not what it is? Okay. Yeah. Well, again, here's the thing. Why would you create that? Kind of defeats the purpose of the constructor if you're creating it outside. It might work, but then the purpose of the constructor is you are bringing all the common functionality into one place. So my character constructor should have all the common properties. Now, if I define attack outside, if I keep some functions outside, it kind of defeats the purpose of the constructor, because that's what we were trying. Because we want this function to be accessible by every single object that is being created using this constructor. If you keep this outside, your object is not associated with this function anymore. You might be able to work it, but it's not associated with this anymore. And the purpose of this was that, whatever the functions and the properties that belong to an object, we're trying to keep them all together in one nice group. That's what it is. But yeah, you can, again, this is JavaScript. You can totally create it outside and it will still work. Again, the benefit over here is if you were creating an object without the constructor, how would you create it? You would create it exactly like this, and you will keep this function inside it, right? So we are using the same thing, and we are just replacing it with constructor. So if there's a benefit when you're creating an object, and this function has to be inside it, it's the same benefit if you just change it to constructor. If there's no benefit, then yeah, there's no benefit. In this case, the only thing is, more like a conceptual wise, that I want to make my properties and function go along. So I create this function inside it, right? So when I create this function, I create this property inside it. So when I create this property inside it, I create this function inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So when I create this function inside it, I create this property inside it. So with my object, that's why they are inside it. Okay, again, this is JavaScript. You can keep it outside. It will still work, but kind of defeats the purpose of the constructor. That's the only thing. What is it? It already understands. Right. You don't have to what?
You don't have to like explain it.
Right. Right. Because all these properties belong to that object, so you don't have to basically know something extra because they are all part of that object. Yeah. So you're trying to group everything that belongs to that object in one case. Okay. Any other questions related to constructors, concerns? You guys getting it? Again, JavaScript is a little bit different and weird in this sense. Me, what am I looking for? There was this one does. What's this one? Okay. Right, no questions. All right, we have 10 minutes. I'm going to show you something that I was talking about, object-oriented programming. But again, we'll cover it at some point. Again, this is not, this is kind of new in JavaScript. Again, they're trying to become that backend language as well, especially after Node.js. You might have seen this, might not. Let's see. Which one did I solve? Was it this one? Or was it this one? This one. Okay. So let me show you this really quickly. Okay. So I'm going to show again you won't find any activity or anything. It's just something related to constructors, and this is my Java or C# sense that is not allowing me to leave it at this point, because again in JavaScript constructor apparently exists individually on its own. In any other language, this is not a possibility that you're talking about constructor, but you are not talking about a class. Okay. So anywhere you talk about constructor, you have to talk about class in any other programming language. Java, C#, C++. JavaScript is different, so that's why you can have individual constructors and it still works. But I'm going to show you because in our new version of JavaScript that we are using, they have introduced the keyword called class. Again, under the hood, it's just a function. It doesn't actually perform the way it is supposed to, but I'll show you guys how it is working. And the reason is because at this point we only know JavaScript, so might as well just do that in JavaScript. Okay, so what is a class? The definition of a class is that it is a template. Okay, now the class over here, it does the same thing what your constructor is doing. As in, if you look at the code over here, we are creating a function called animal. Okay, and then you are creating objects using this constructor. Okay, so class is kind of wrapper. The right way to do is you should have a class, and then within a class you're going to have a constructor, and then you're going this name will be the name of the class. Okay, and I say the right way, it is the right way because every other language has figured it out except JavaScript. Okay, so in JavaScript how you would do is instead of a function, it is going to be the keyword class, and similar to the constructor function, you're going to create a animal. Okay, same concept over here. Put a generic name and then put it over here. Now our constructor, I'm going to move this function inside our animal class. Okay, so far so good. The only thing over here is now you are not going to call it animal anymore. There's a keyword called constructor. Let me format this. And this is how it is written in JavaScript. In the right, if you're following the object-oriented programming in any language, this is how you have to do it. There's a class name, and the name of the class is follows the same convention that I asked you for the naming the constructor in JavaScript. Should be more generic. What you are saying is that all my objects belong to this class, okay, and the constructor, instead of having a name for the constructor, the keyword is constructed just like a function. Nothing else changes. Okay. If you are using the keyword class in this way, you have to change the name of the function to constructor. Okay. Now you can. There shouldn't be any other change if I am correct, and this code should still run as it is. So let me go back here. So if I do node constructor, and still runs exactly the same way. Okay. Again, this keyword class was added to the newer version of JavaScript, which we are already using. It's called ES6, and the concept for the new was already there, but this was missing from that. So just to kind of fix that issue, they kind of included this. But this should tell you that this is just a wrapper. Behind the scene is still the same function. The code that we saw before, JavaScript, just to appease programmers, Java programmers like me, they came up with this keyword. Behind the scene is still a function. It doesn't really do anything different. Okay, but now if I see it, I'm like, oh, JavaScript is object oriented. I have a class name, I have a constructor, looks nice, and all that stuff. Okay. Any questions? Again, this is optional. I just wanted to tell you guys how this works in JavaScript. We'll come back after lunch, and there's a similar constructor activity. You don't have to use the class. If you understood this, give it a try. If not, we are still going to continue on the constructor. It's a little bit more bigger activity that should take you more than 45 minutes or so. So we'll spend some time on that activity. All right. 4 minutes. Any questions? Is everybody good? Yes. Yes. Okay. Everyone was like getting up and Chris. Blame Chris. Go ahead. No, go ahead. This is going to be good.
So when I did this, like I was kind of going along with how a video kind of showed how
This one?
how to do it.
Okay.
How to make the class.
Yes.
And so I have a function that's outside of the
Yes.
constructor,
Yes.
but
Good question.
which so for what I was doing, it made sense because this function is all DOM manipulation.
Okay.
So like, why would I want to have that as a property of the
You will. Yes. If you're using the class syntax, you will not want. You would want it like this.
You
Yes.
always would want to do
Yes,
that.
this is the right convention. In other programming language, this is what you do it. In your constructor, you only have properties like string, booleans, and all that stuff. Functions are always going to be outside. Yes, that's how I would do it. Or just, this is the syntax you would say function. Make some. Yeah, it's going to be like this. Okay, don't have to put function. JavaScript will recognize it, and this should still work as it is. And it's working. Yes, this is how I would do it. Yes, if you're using the class syntax, yes, keep your functions outside. But you see that this function is still part of this class. It has to be inside. Yes. Okay. Good question. Yes.
So in order
Now it's Michael's fault.
in order for a programming language to be considered object oriented, it must have a class and an object constructor, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
At a very basic level, there's a lot more that goes into it. But it has to follow the convention of objects. It has to have these objects, like we are creating these objects, right? So basically the paradigm says that I should be able to create objects using the new keyword. Yes, that's how you would call it a object-oriented program. So in Java or C#, any program that you create starts with the keyword class. There's no escape from this keyword. You cannot create a program without using the class keyword actually. So their foundation is object oriented. Everything is embedded in JavaScript. This is optional, so that's why.
So JavaScript's not considered object
No, well, some people, you depend who you ask.
Um,
To me, definitely not. It is not object oriented. But they're coming up with these syntactic sugar and trying to make it object oriented, but it is not. It's not object oriented.
So if it's not object oriented, what would you call it?
It's a scripting language.
Scripting.
Yeah. Okay. Especially with Node.js, they're introducing this because people who are kind of coming from backend languages, we are more familiar with this. So it kind of makes it looks to us it looks more organized. Behind the scene, it's not actually doing. It's basically calling a function. Yes.
Well, you said we don't use constructor that much in real life. How often we use this in real life?
No, you're not going to use in JavaScript. No.
No?
No, again, I'm saying these things.
With back
I've never
end?
seen these. But again, as I was saying, that at some point in your career, you're going to get a job. I'm hoping you're going to keep learning, and you're going to learn a real language like Java or C Sharp. And you cannot learn that language without knowing these things. So I would be satisfied that I have given you some options. So keep this in mind. Take a note of it. For now, yeah, I don't see. I have never seen a production code using this in JavaScript. Okay. All right, let's take lunch. We'll start back at 12:45. Right on the dot.